Hello. What if I told you that your entire worldview as you know it is a lie, fed to you by the big man upstairs to keep you at bay and preventing you from questioning reality? That is exactly what the Flat Earth community believes, and today we're going to take a deep dive into the insane world of the Flat Earth. And maybe by the end of this video, you'll be woken up from the hands of NASA and be free from the brainwashing and hypnotizing. I'm just fucking around, but that is genuinely how a good amount of Flat Earthers talk.
NASA. Over 50 years of nonsense. Garbage. Crap. The people out there believe this shit.
Sphere supporters have been blinded by generations of pseudoscience. They themselves have fallen for an actual government psyop.
For almost 500 years, the masses have been thoroughly deceived.
We're being lied to by an elite cabal of satanic sorcerers that call themselves scientists.
It's fucking Taylor Swift. Thank you, Hollywood, for conditioning these trained fucking rats.
In my years of research, I've seen some things that I wouldn't wish to show even my worst enemy, but I'm gonna show you guys, because progress can only be made by breaking down barriers and pushing the limits of what's possible. Even if that means ripping every astronomical, physical, mathematical, and scientific theory from the shelf and taking a shit all over it. Einstein, Galileo, Newton, Copernicus? They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Why would I trust someone wearing a powdered wig when I can trust someone like Flat Earth Dave or the Flat Earthers from those Jubilee videos doing the real boots on the ground science?
If you were alone in a room with a flat earther, what would you ask?
I'm probably asking to leave the room if I'm being completely honest with you. Let me get y'all caught up because I'm sure not everyone gets launched down these conspiracy theory rabbit holes like I do. So the Flat Earth theory says that instead of the Earth being a globe like we're all taught, it's actually a flat plane. That's the general idea that most people know about, but Flat Earthers also believe that our Earth is surrounded by a dome, or a firmament, as they call it. And inside of this dome is the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything pretty much that we can see in our world as we know it. And around the circumference of the flat Earth is Antarctica, which acts as a wall keeping all the oceans from falling off the edge. And you know, I could make an entire video on the Antarctica ice wall thing, so I'm not even going to try to dive into all that in this video. Let me know in the comments if you want to hear more about that whole debacle, and we can do that later. Now, I am poking fun at Flat Earthers because they are low-hanging fruit, but in all honesty, I just think that they are misinformed and misguided in their research. Nothing more and nothing less. I'm really not trying to insult Flat Earthers as people, only as scientists, along with everything they believe in, and they really should pick a different field of expertise if I'm being honest. But you know, speaking of misguided research, Flat Earthers claim to have done tons and tons of research, but by researching, they're somehow dodging all the evidence and proof and science that shows the Earth is a globe, like they're Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, just dodging all the evidence to land at the conclusion that the Earth is a plate sitting inside of that dome from the Simpsons movie. I want to talk about this dome that the Flat Earth community believes in real quick. This is a dome, might I add, that nobody has ever seen, documented, or photographed, yet in the eyes of a Flat Earther somehow has more proof of existing than thousands of years of research, hundreds of thousands of scientists doing experiments and taking observations, photographs of a globe Earth, live video of a globe Earth. You heard that right. If you didn't know, there's a 24-hour-a-day live stream of the International Space Station that you can tune into anytime you want, and you can watch for however long you want. And if you think the live stream is fake too, get this, guys. You can walk outside of your own damn house and watch the International Space Station fly above your head with your own two eyes, and it lines up perfectly with every live stream and every live location feed online. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Flat Earthers believe that NASA is the one hiding the flat Earth from the public. Now, if NASA was trying to hide a flat Earth and the fact that satellites are fake, and yes, Flat Earthers also believe that all satellites are fake, why would they give the general public a website to pinpoint the exact time to look up and watch their fake satellite pass over them? That sounds a little counterintuitive if you ask me. If I was NASA trying to hide the fact that satellites are bullshit, wouldn't it make more sense for me to tell the public that, you know, of course you can't see the ISS from the ground. It's way too far above us to see. To me, that seems a lot easier than all the shenanigans they're pulling out of their hat to convince the world that this chunk of metal is really flying above our heads at 17,000 miles an hour, orbiting the Earth. And you know what, gang? Get this. NASA ain't the only motherfuckers in on the conspiracy. The country of Japan also happens to have a public broadcast of the Earth that you can check in on anytime you want. The Himawari satellite beams photos of the Earth every 10 minutes down to your devices for you to look at whenever you want. Its main use is for weather, but it also just looks badass to look at the Earth. And by the way, speaking of weather, The cloud cover in these images are always 100% accurate to every location in real life because the images are real and not faked by big NASA. This satellite is in geostationary orbit, meaning it rotates at the same speed as the Earth, so it looks like it's always in the same spot. You know, those selfish Japanese are just worrying about themselves and not the rest of the world. I get it, it's fine, they get cyclones and typhoons, they need it. But if you're watching this video right now and you live in Oceania or East Asia, anywhere visible from this satellite here, go to this website, I'll put it in the description, look at the cloud cover at the spot you live at, go outside and look up and let us all know in the comment section if the satellite image is accurate to what you're seeing. You know, we're doing some global scale science experiments here, we're not fucking around, we're here to play, we're here to show you it's not a stupid conspiracy. And you wanna know the thing that pisses me off the most about flat earthers? I'm going a little off the beaten path here, but just stay with me, guys. I have yet to see a single flat earther or conspiracy theorist in general with even a smidge of graphic design and Photoshop talent. You know, these are the posts that everyone knows, the kind of images that an elementary school student would get a C- in their computer class for making. I don't understand why these pictures are always stretched out and blurry. Like, just find another picture that fits the resolution you want. It's not that hard. And I do feel a little bad for the flat earthers for getting so upset with them in this video, so I did decide to do a little charity work here and give them some free advertising, and I made some edits for you guys you can use to further your scientific endeavors or whatever. That is my gift to you flat earthers. One of the big things that annoys me about flat earthers is that they have no working model of the flat earth. You know, we have a working globe model that we know works, and we know it works because we can predict events using said model, and those events usually always happen in real life. One of many examples of this is the eclipse. We can predict eclipses hundreds of years into the future, down to the minute, and we are right all the time. And if you don't believe me, here's a screenshot of a newspaper from the New York Times on August 31st, 1932, mentioning a solar eclipse happening over 80 years into the future on August 21st, 2017. But you know what, let's go even further back. The Canon of Eclipses was a catalog written in 1887, over 130 years ago, and it predicts every eclipse dating back thousands of years and goes all the way into the future past 2100 AD. And if you look on page 308, line 7686, you can see that a solar eclipse was predicted to happen on the 8th day of the 4th month of the year 2024. And spoiler alert, it happened. These events have been predicted on a globe Earth for hundreds of years, so we know that the globe is a working model. You know, wouldn't it be funny if there was a solar eclipse that got so hyped for being an epic, awesome event that we won't see for, 20 more years, and then the day came and the moon was like 5 degrees off of what was predicted, and all the scientists were like, oopsies. But no, that doesn't happen because the globe Earth is a model that has worked for hundreds of years. And remember the Himawari satellite that I was talking about a few minutes ago? You can look back at any date of any eclipse happening on this part of the Earth, going back to the start of this satellite's operation in 2015, and watch eclipses happen from space. This one, for example, was on April 20th, 2023. And you know what's crazy? Everything strings together so nicely, I can't fathom how NASA managed to pull all this off and fool us, because they're doing a damn good job covering all their bases. I'd like to point out that some flat earthers actually do try to take measurements and do, calculations to prove their theories, but you could say that they always end up falling flat. Flat Earthers' best friend for taking measurements is usually Google Earth Pro, which is a software program that I happen to be very familiar with. And because I'm so familiar with this program, I always have to chuckle a little bit at the thought that Flat Earthers probably vomit in their mouth a little when they open Google Earth to do their calculations, and no shit, this is the first thing that they see on their screen. That's right, Flat Earthers use a 3D model of a globe to perform their Flat Earth calculations and experiments. A little poetic irony if you ask me. Anyways, this is my message for any Flat Earthers watching this video. I recommend you expedite the process of making a Flat Earth model to do your own measurements on, so you don't have to embarrass yourself by using our globe model. Show us a working model that can successfully predict a real-life event. That would be a start, because I've yet to see a map that can do that. Then use that same map to predict a different event. And that's usually the nail in the coffin for any attempt at making a working flat earth map. The funny thing with flat earthers I've noticed is that they use one model to show how something like the sun orbiting in the sky happens on a flat earth. Then they use a completely different model to show how something like seasons work. And they use different models because those two things don't ever work on the same model, and I'm sure they know it. And I want to try to visualize this here for y'all because I'm just a hands-on kind of guy, So here's how the seasons are modeled on the flat earth. The sun moves in toward the center and then back out towards the edges, and that simulates the seasons. Now, let's look at this day and night model. And when I tell you that these models take creative liberties, I mean it. Like, just take a second to look at this flat earth model. Does anything seem odd to you? I'll give you a second. Alright, time's up. How about the fact that this ray of sunlight is able to travel all the way over here, but this ray of sunlight can only travel to this spot for some whatever reason. I don't know how that works, and I'm sure any flat earther doesn't know how it works either. You know, I would ask them on their public subreddit about this, but they do delete any post that is critical of their model, and they also ban any person who asks any questions at all, really, so that probably wouldn't be a good usage of my time. Now, I feel like we've gotten a lot done here today, but I do want to take these next few seconds to show you all just a small list of things that would need to be true if the Earth was in fact flat and not a globe, just to hit it home to you all how outlandish this conspiracy theory actually is. And also, I see flat earthers always asking to see videos of rockets going into space then coming back down in a single take, so we'll just kill two birds with one stone. Here's that one too. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not trying to attack flat earthers as people, only as scientists. And the flat earth belief becomes a whole lot more fishy when you look at any flat earther and observe that they are not only flat earthers, but they're usually also moon landing deniers, 5G cancer-causing believers, JFK is still alive and Acapulco enthusiasts, Barack Obama's a Komodo dragon hosting Illuminati meet and greets other Times Square conspiracy theorists. Come on! If you believe one, you believe them all, and it's a little suspicious that a certain group of people is falling for all of these different conspiracies, and it takes away the credibility very fast when you look at some of these other outrageous things that flat earthers wholeheartedly believe in. And why does the flat earth community appear to be growing? And why does it seem like so many people subscribe to the idea of a flat earth? Well, I think that one of the biggest reasons is obviously social media. Any schmuck, including myself, can go online and make a video stating outrageous claims without being fact-checked along the way, and sound like a genius, or at the very least like you know what you're talking about. And people will believe what they hear, because when you talk confidently, it's easy to believe what you're saying. And I'm not being ignorant here. I know damn well that that applies to this very video that you're watching too. You know, don't believe me just because I'm talking with confidence on a YouTube video. The goal is to bring light to the subject so that you look at the real sources for yourself and make your own conclusion. At least that's what NASA paid me to say. I don't know what any of that means. They just sent me the script. I'm reading off of it right now. Anyways, I feel like I've spent enough time criticizing flat earthers in this video, so I'll give it a rest for now, although I only touched on a fraction of the crazy ideas that they've tossed around. You know, I could make 30 videos on the flat earth theory alone, but I'll save those for another day. I hope you enjoyed this video. I plan on making lots of videos on random topics in the future, and NASA's mind waves should be coming through your screen right now, actually, to brainwash you into hitting the subscribe button. So don't be afraid of that, just let it happen. And if you guys thought this video was a big pile of dog shit, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next Turtle Earth Theory.